bumming with Bob. Let's have a few brews. We'll have some fun with the bum wine crew. So kick your feet up and grab you a beer. 'Cause damn, man, I'm glad that you're here.
All right. This is Bumwine Bob welcoming you to an all-new edition of Bum with Bobcat, and making his triumphant return to the podcast, making it a three-peat this time around. We talked Hulk rules, we talked the Beach Boys, and we have a special treat on tap for you guys this week. Our very own Uncle Jesse has returned to the podcast. Jesse, man, how you doing?
I'm doing great, Bob. I'm so happy to be back. I feel like you and I we have this friendship bonded over really esoteric oddball albums that not a lot of people love. So I think when you can have a friendship bonded over that, I think it says a lot about the people.
That's the kind of friendship that lasts forever.
That's
right
right
there. And if the Hulkster taught us anything about friendship with the Hulk Rules album, we know
God,
that
certainly did.
Little Hulkamaniacs will be friends till the end. So
yeah, that's right.
But this time we are back because not only is this a special album, it is celebrating its 35th anniversary this year. We just passed it in this past September, and it's the one and the only. It is the Piledriver, the Wrestling Album 2, and to celebrate this glorious occasion, I brought along a beverage I'm going to crack open here, which is fitting because it was one of the official sponsors of the 1987 Slammy Awards, and this is Schlitz Malt Liquor, the Bull, the classic malt liquor right here. So I'm going to crack this open.
Crank it up, dude.
Right here, because it fits perfectly. I mean, when have you ever seen a malt liquor sponsor a Slammy Awards? One time only, and that was 35 years ago in 1987.
The Slammy Awards are brought to you in part by Schlitz Malt Liquor. No one does it like the Bull.
Yeah, I mean, those guys are pretty fit. I'm trying to think who would have been pounding the Schlitz. I mean, obviously Jim the Anvil Neidhart probably got down.
I was gonna say that maybe like Hacksaw Jim Duggan. I can see being a big malt liquor guy.
Yeah, Hillbilly Jim was definitely doing moonshine. Obviously.
Oh yeah. He's making his own there on the farm.
Mean Gene's having martinis. Yeah, sure. Yeah.
Yeah, but hey, you can't go wrong there. That's why I said it was fitting. Yeah. I remember the first time I saw the 1987 Slammies, and this was years ago, because I bought a tape of it off eBay, probably in the early 2000s. So I still have the VHS tape down here, along with my VHS tape of Piledriver, the music videos, which I did make sure to watch a couple weeks ago to refresh my memory of some of the glorious videos that went along with this fantastic album that doesn't get enough love, I think, that it deserves these days.
I agree, but I think before we talk about the love, I think this album these songs are synonymous with the 1987 Slammy Awards. It's just impossible, for me at least, to disassociate, the songs from the live performances of them.
Ladies and gentlemen, Vince McMahon.
Welcome, everyone. Welcome to Circus Maximus, the traditional home of the Slammy Awards. There are only winners here tonight at the Slammies. You in the audience, you at home, and all of our nominees will leave tonight the better for having participated in this joyous celebration. This celebration of their human potential. This love fest of mutual admiration and support. This tribute to the blood, the sweat, and the tears that lie behind all the glitter and glamour.
Oh yeah, because that was pretty much the that whole event was based around the Piledriver with the live, well, quote unquote live performances of the songs at the event. They had the special award for the best song, so they go hand in hand. And the Slammies, I believe, were held in December of '87, so we're pretty much right on track.
Oh wow, okay.
For Slammy season here. So it all works out perfectly. See, when we do these things, we blend it all together, wrap it up in a neat little package for the holidays. If it's Christmas, it's Hanukkah, whatever you celebrate. We are here now to bring you this special gift for you to enjoy with your family this holiday season. Because who doesn't want to sit around with their family, celebrating the holidays, cranking up a little Piledriver, a little podcast to go along with it.
Bob,
I think that's great.
I know. I mean, honestly, my kids and my wife and I, my cats, we like to sit around the fire and, we sing Jive Soul Bro. It's what we do.
You pick up some fried chicken, crank up the Jive Soul Bro.
Question for you, Bob. I have a question for you because I'm interested to know what your history was. Were you loving wrestling at this time in 1987?
I was not. I was still too young at this time to get into wrestling. So I got into wrestling in '93. Was when I started watching wrestling. But from that time forward, I was always going out there, going to the video store, renting the VHS tapes, catching up on everything, became a big, quote unquote, historian, finding all these things. And I guess it probably wasn't until the early 2000s with the internet and things like eBay that you could find these things and see, oh, there's this wrestling album. Like, I think I saw the original one because I think they re-released that in like the late 90s. They re-released the original wrestling album. I remember seeing that at the Wiz and sorts like that on the shelf. And I was like, oh, what's this? This is like a CD from the 80s with like wrestling songs. I was okay. That's cool. And then I found out, oh, there was a second one that was a little more, I don't want to say over the top, but the wrestling album 2 and the wrestling album are kind of two different animals in a way. I think. I don't know if you feel the same way.
I do, and for many ways, man, because I'm a little older than you. But for me, I bought the wrestling album the day it came out, and I still have it on cassette, and it's one of my prized possessions. I'm a musician. I know every fucking and it's one of my favorite albums. So, and actually, when Piledriver came out, that's when I was getting out of wrestling the first time because I was getting more into music and baseball, and my brother was the guy who got me into wrestling. He was getting into skateboards and girls. So that I think I saw Macho Man Steamboat, on a Saturday morning, like a repeat on a Saturday morning, but I really wasn't into it. And it was only later, when I was getting into albums like Hulk Rules and Be a Man, Macho Man stuff, where I remembered, oh my God, there is another one, and I remember the song, I remember Stand Back, and I remember Honky Tonk Man so well. And once I got back into wrestling with my wrestling friends, I got more into Piledriver, and it's a weird thing because I think there are a couple songs on Piledriver that are atrocious, but I think they're interesting. And then the songs that I didn't used to like on Piledriver, I really love now. I've really gotten into this album. And there's a couple songs that are just honestly great.
And I keep going back to like the original days of downloading. I used to spend hours trying to download wrestling themes on the internet. Wow. Like back, firing up, the 56K modem, trying to find the website just to get like a 30-second clip of like a theme song. And I remember, I think one of the first ones came across, I had heard it on the VHS tapes of events, but once some of my friends, we would crank up Jive Soul Bro, and we're like, holy shit, man, this is this song is awesome.
It's weird too. It's I know it's a cover, and it's the same person who did what's his face? Who did Grab Them Cakes. But the song is very much like, we can get into a song by song if you want, but it's very much like Fame by David Bowie. And then it reminds me of like Cheap Sunglasses by ZZ Top. Yeah. It's kind of like proggy. It's not like I was, of course I try to play along with these songs. Like, no, that one actually you need to think about. Josh LaBro's a fucked up song.
Yeah.
But it's not my favorite song on the album.
No, I didn't know, but I don't know. I think one of my biggest pet peeves about this album, and I don't know if you feel the same way, is we said, looking at the track listing and how it kicks off. I don't know why they didn't start off the album with PILEDRIVER.
Yeah,
that's the biggest head scratcher to me. Why don't you start that off? Yeah.
Okay, I'll give you two, because 1,000%, Bob. I mean, there's a couple reasons why you shouldn't start it off. First of all, the album is PILEDRIVER, right? And who's on the cover, Bob?
Hulk Hogan.
Does Hulk Hogan sing a song on this album?
No.
Okay, well that's fucking Vince bait and switch.
Yeah. Oh, Hulk's singing. All right, I'm thinking they're like, wait, 10 songs? Where's Hulkster?
But he's playing bass on 2 of them, quote unquote.
Yeah. No. When he wasn't out there trying to get a Metallica, right?
Metallica, right. Right, and wrestling for dying kids. No, honestly, no. It's like a B. Girls and Cars is kind of like a B-rate Richard Marx song, which isn't necessarily a knock, but it's not how you open up a big wrestling album. It's not PILEDRIVER. This is it's a goody song, and the thing is that the wrestling team it's for Strikeforce. That's what Tito Santana and Rick Martel.
Yeah.
They weren't Hulk Hogan. They weren't Macho Man. They weren't the big shit. And it's sung by this dude Robbie Dupree. Who the fuck is he?
Hey, and I think maybe that's why they started with him. I mean, yes, he had 2 semi-hits in the early 80s. But I mean, I guess you're going off of name value, and that would be maybe somebody who's on the top of the list, and that's why you put it as the first track. But still,
that's not enough, man. Well, I think so. Remember in the Slammies, Jimmy Hart sings it, right?
Right.
All right. Well, that makes some sort of sense. If he's saying it, or like, and maybe like if the Hart Foundation, they were heels, so maybe not. But if he's saying it and you had it song 3, like Eat Your Heart Out, Rick Springfield was on the wrestling album, then it makes more sense. But I think it's an opening song. I think maybe that's like strike one against it for me.
Yeah, that's always been one of my pet peeves about it. It's like, okay, how do you start the album with that? And like I said, maybe it was just because they're trying to grab a singer with somewhat, I mean, name, quote unquote, name value. I mean, you have somebody who had a couple top 10 hits in the early 80s. We're in 87 now. It's pushing it a little bit. It's not like you don't have like Hall & Oates on there singing it. If that, then I'll give you the credit for Hall & Oates. But Robbie Dupree, I don't know.
Yeah. Well, I mean, and listen, Cyndi Lauper, produced the Captain Lou Albano song under the name Mona Flambe. And Cyndi Lauper is obviously, in 1985, Cyndi Lauper was was like more popular than Madonna. But, obviously she wasn't going to use her name on the wrestling album. I don't want to make any comparisons to Cyndi Lauper and Robert Dupree, except that I think Cyndi Lauper is amazing.
Yeah.
I think our vote would just be that it's a decent song. It just shouldn't be the lead, the opener.
I mean, it is a good song. It is very catchy. You find yourself singing along with it. Girls in cars. All right, you're like, okay, I can get along with this.
It's cool because as a guitar player, it has that got that. It's basically Brass in Pocket by the Pretenders, and it's actually kind of like Every Breath You Take.
Okay.
It's just like the chord progression. I remember thinking when I was learning it, I was like, that's a really cool way of doing it. They put their own little 80s gloss on it. And it's kind of cool modulation in the bridge. It's got something, but when I'm looking for, there's nothing pile driving about it.
No, it is lacking in the pile driving aspect of it. And when Strikeforce was using it, they were using the instrumental version of it.
Right.
But it still never really, for me, it really never clicked as a song to use as a theme song for a team.
No, Strikeforce, they were never like really like, they weren't like this, they weren't like Gino Hernandez and whatnot in world class wrestling. They weren't like these Lotharios. They were just like cute guys.
Right. I can see it as a song you're trying to do like a little pop hit of a song, but for a wrestling theme, Not quite.
Not quite.
Yeah, it's one of those. You tried. I wouldn't have kicked off the album that way. When you go to track 2, and that's the title track of PILEDRIVER.
There you go.
Now that's the way to kick it off. And when I put in the PILEDRIVER VHS tape I have, when that thing starts up, that starts with the video for PILEDRIVER,
Of course it
which the video does feature Hulk Hogan
does.
prominently in that, with his hard hat, the same look he has on the cover of the album.
Yes.
So that's where they got it from. So that's kind of, while he doesn't sing anything in it, he is the star of that video. Well, besides Koko, give Koko his credit where credit is due.
Yeah, well, I'll give Koko lots of credit. I mean, Koko can fucking sing. I mean, he's got voice, he's got lungs, he's got tone, he's got phrasing. I think it's great. I think it's a great song. I think it's a little spooky. Interesting thing though, after the bridge, it does like, you're right beside her, your heart's on fire, she's got you hardwired higher and higher, PILEDRIVER. From there, like a lot of 80s songs, after the bridge, it doesn't really go anywhere. This is just the thing that happens with TV show song, TV theme songs and
Yeah.
hits. I kind of wish it just like, it would have been really obtuse, but like, what if it just faded out after the bridge?
It's there and then it's gone. That's it.
Yeah, exactly. It was just like higher and higher, PILEDRIVER, doom, 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 and it just faded out, because I think the song kind of gets old after a while. But obviously, it worked, in the video, obviously with all the action going on there.
Yeah, it does repeat itself, and you kind of get halfway through it, and you're like, all right, we could be done with this. And it's not a long song either, but it just seems like it goes on and on. It's like I'm looking at the time of it. It's 2:55 is the time for the track. And
Wow.
It seems like it goes on a lot longer than it's just like it kind of drags a bit somehow, but it's just under 3 minutes.
Yeah, I mean, did Koko use this as his theme song or no?
He did for a time. I guess from what they said, it was, I guess, for maybe a couple years. I think he used it. They said into 1990 he used it.
Yeah,
did he use his theme song?
Okay. Did he used to use "The Bird" by Morris Day in the time before that?
I think it was. I think before that, it was.
Yeah. Just like JYD used to use "Another One Bites the Dust." And
until they said, when they decided, oh wait, no, we can't use any real music anymore. We need to create our. We're not paying royalties on these songs anymore. We're gonna create our own. And they, for the most part, they did a good job creating their own songs for people. I mean, especially that. I mean, not compared to more recent times with theme songs you hear for people, and you're like, who thinks this is a good idea?
No, that's one thing that AEW is doing a nice job of. They're just licensing some good shit.
Right, and sometimes that's what you have to do. You got to put the money out to license things, and
it works for me, man.
Yeah, I'd rather have that than just some generic rock theme number 74, and it's like, oh, who's that? I don't know. They all sound the same.
Yeah, well, that's why God rest J.J. Maguire's soul from the Hulk Rules, who also did Sexy Boy and all those kinds of hits, But then again, with that being said, as cool those songs are, they're not supposed to go past the bridge.
No. You cut it off before it. You're not listening to the whole song as it plays through. It's just get the main part of it, go through, get to the ring, and then it's done.
Yeah, agreed.
Yeah, but PILEDRIVER is a solid song, solid video. If you haven't seen it, make sure to go out there, watch this. Out there.
Yeah, if you like homoerotic 80s videos.
Yeah. This is the video. This is the video for you. Go check it out. It's out there. It's out there on YouTube. You can find it. Don't worry. It's out there.
It's out there. Yeah, go check it out.
But then you follow up PILEDRIVER with a classic song, and that's the Honky Tonk Man and his theme song. I mean, I think everybody knows the Honky Tonk Man and his theme song. I mean, it's one of the all-time classic wrestling theme songs.
It's the perfect fit.
I can't really complain at all about that one.
No, it works perfectly. It's catchy. It's short, and actually, you don't mind that it's as long. Even though it's short and it feels long, it doesn't matter. It's a great song. The the video, the Slammy Award video is just so amazing with Jesse Lee Ventura.
Oh yeah, on the piano there. Yeah,
they're just having so much fun. And as a musician, one of my favorite things to do when I'm watching like a TV show or a movie with actors playing guitar is to see how well they can fake it. And now there's a whole business of professional musicians who teach actors how to play. How to fake a couple chords. The Slammies didn't have that. Watch Honky Tonk Man play guitar. Literally, his hands aren't moving.
Right? Yeah.
He's grasping onto that fucking guitar for dear life.
Yeah, and I think that I don't know if that was on purpose or because going off of the character of somebody who says he's this great musician, and everybody pretty much knows he's not, and just trying to play up that gimmick. And even the video for Piledriver, when they had a disclaimer at the end of it saying these they might have been paid for their performance to be cheering him as he sings during the video.
Yeah, well, I mean, obviously, and Honky Tonk Man is obviously a throwback to Elvis, and Elvis didn't always play guitar, but he always held it and he would pose with it. So I get the connection. It's
for the look. It's for the look. Yeah, even though Honky says Elvis stole everything from him, but hey, that's
apparently Honky Tonk Man is totally delusional.
I could see that. Yeah. I mean, probably even more these days too.
Well, yeah, that's what I'm saying. Yeah. But I mean, God bless him, and he was cool back then. In 1987 at WrestleMania 3, he was badass. Him and Jake Roberts, that was good shit.
Yeah, and this was pretty much right as Honky Tonk Man was becoming more of a featured star, and then becoming the Intercontinental Champion. Who still claims is the greatest Intercontinental Champion of all time, and holding that belt for over a year.
Yeah,
during this time period. So kudos to him. For that.
Yeah, well, and I'm trying to think of other Intercontinental Champions who I really, who really stuck out, who didn't go on to be, heavyweight champs. For a lot of people, the Intercontinental belt was the next rung on the ladder, but that's where Honky stopped.
Right. Usually you'd have that, and then you'd lose it, and then within a year or so, you'd be on the fast track to the world title.
Yeah. Honky didn't get that. Steamboat didn't get that. Tito Santana didn't get that.
Yeah. I guess not everybody. A lot of people did, but there's always those few that couldn't quite make it to that next level. But that doesn't make them any less of a character.
No, and maybe it makes him that much better of a Intercontinental Champion. To his point.
Yeah, you take that belt and you hold it with really putting all your effort into it to make it mean something, and that says a lot.
Yeah, God, what a weirdo. Weirdo.
Well, and then you think of weirdos in a different way, which in a good way, is the next song, which is Demolition, which is a real banger of a song. I mean, that's just a amp
What a riff
song that just gets you ready to just beat somebody up. I mean, that's
it's a killer riff. Da, 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 da. And then the demolition when that guy's wailing, whoever's singing. And at the end, I think my favorite part that was at the end, the guitar does a little nod to the Immigrant Song.
Yeah.
I love that. It's such a cool little knock because that riff is so simple. This is an interesting one for me, Bob, because when I was getting out of wrestling in 87, I didn't know Demolition. Of course, I knew the Road Warriors, and they would scare me. So learning about Demolition later, I remember thinking they're just a total knockoff. And then I heard this song, and I was like, well, the song might not be as good as Iron Man, Road Warriors song.
Right.
But it's great. It is a great song. It's a standalone song. You could put this on an album by itself, and I think it would be Sabbath could have done this in the 80s. And I think it would have been a good 80s Sabbath song. Yeah,
that's one that you could pass that for not being a wrestling theme song. You could hear that song and be like, "Oh, this is an awesome, rock song."
Yeah,
and
great riff.
Not know that it's a wrestling theme song at the same time.
Yeah, I mean it is a perfect wrestling theme song, of course, but because the kind of stomping motion of how Axe and Smash would walk. But man, I love that riff. and I love his voice at the end, and the guitar playing is really good. You know, I think it's a solid song.
It definitely fits the characters, fits everything with Demolition. And like you said, people would see them at first and think of them as a Road Warrior ripoff. But then you hear the song and you see them and you're like, you know, these guys are pretty badass.
They are. But you know what, Bob? It's interesting. So we've agreed that Demolition and Honky Tonk Man those songs really fit the characters that they're attached to, right? And we've also agreed that Girls in Cars does not. Right. I think that's where that's an interesting way for us to judge this album, sort of, you know.
Yeah, what fits the character or the wrestler that it's supposed to be for. And the Piledriver with Koko is an interesting one, because while yes, he used it as a theme song for a while, I still don't really associate that with him as a theme. Right. I think of Piledriver more as a standalone song, just and for the album that just happened to be used as a theme for him for a certain time period.
That he happened to sing on. Yeah,
right. I guess you say, hey, I sang this song, so I'm gonna use that as my theme. Like, all right, whatever.
Yeah, fair enough. Yeah,
fine, go for it.
Meanwhile, like, what does that have to do? What does that have to do with Frankie the Bird?
I mean, like you
said, driving the bird, or
I know. Going back to what we said, when you're thinking of something like the Bird and Morris Day and something that's upbeat like that he's coming around dancing around with. The Piledriver really doesn't give you that same feeling.
Does not
for it, but it's like, look, the man sang the song, so let him use it as the theme for a couple years, and then we'll move on to something else. But
it's wrestling.
Exactly, right. So you go through like Demolition fits in perfectly. Honky Tonk Man fits perfectly.
Yeah.
Girls in Cars.
It's not.
Not so much.
But the next song absolutely does.
No, well then, yeah. The next one up on our track list here is Slick with Jive Soul Bro. And that is a song that fits Slick the character to a T. I mean, if you haven't heard that song, you owe it to yourself to spend the time to just listen to it on repeat for like an hour and just get up and get dancing around. Crank up the speakers, crank up the sound system in the house, and you just walk around your living room to Jive Soul Bro.
Now, I want to talk about, before we talk about, we've talked a little bit about the song, but let's talk about if this song could exist now in 2022. For all intents and purposes, we think of Slick as a pimp, right?
Right. I think, yeah. And I was listening to a podcast recently, and they were like, well, what exactly is Slick? Is he a pimp? Is he a drug dealer? Is he just like some shady guy that's not like a bookie, but just doing like underground stuff?
He's a shady character, right?
He's shady. I mean, I think it's supposed to be a pimp. I think that's pretty much the most accurate answer for it, but it could go a bunch of different ways. I mean, all of them are shady and questionable character choices for him. He's not at this point, he's not winning any awards for some high esteemed community helping. I mean, later on in his career, he did become the Reverend Slick later on, and he reformed and was a nice guy doing the Lord's work.
Yeah, but he was
all that stuff. But not at this time. Not at the Jive Soul Bro era of Slick, which, like I said, I guess I don't think you could get away with that. And even watching the video for it, yes, a lot of that stuff would definitely not fly in today's world.
But meanwhile, you look at, goddamn, The Godfather was, the biggest pimp of them all.
Yeah, but I mean, I guess even that too. I mean, I don't think you can't get away with The Godfather today either. I mean, that was in the Attitude Era in the late 90s. I mean, that was a huge character. I mean, everybody loved the Ho Train.
Sure,
seeing him come out there, as a full-time gimmick. Like, if he pops up today for like some nostalgia show, they'll bring him out there and they'll do the Ho Train thing, and it'll be great with three. But it's a one-time deal, not like going to be every single week on Raw coming out with the hose. Yeah. And the same thing with this, with Slick out there every week. He's got the suit, he's got the hat on.
And he managed a bunch. Yeah. Okay, so maybe he's just more of a overall shyster. I always just got the vibe that he was a pimp.
Yeah, I mean, I'm with you on that too, but you could see there's probably some other shady dealings going. I think he's probably in that underworld doing some shady works, and probably being a pimp is probably part of it.
Okay, all right. But he can rap.
It's a great song. It's a great song.
It's great performance. He's over the top as fuck, which is great. I mean, okay, well here's the question though. See, for me, growing up as a wrestling, fan in 1985, my first favorite wrestler was of course Cyndi Lauper, because I'm a rock and wrestling guy. But even more than Hulk, I love JYD. I was a huge Junkyard Dog fan. So if it's a Sophie's choice between Grab Them Cakes and Jive Soul Bro, I'm going Grab Them Cakes. Nine times out of 10. But as a song, Jive Soul Bro it's so appealing because it's really all over the place in a good way,
It is. It does go all over the place, and you have the different characters within the song.
Right.
They're saying whatever girl he's arguing with in the song, and the back and forth. So it is like its own little. I mean, the music video for it is like its own mini movie in itself with everything, and then you throw in him there eating the bucket of fried chicken and all that stuff.
They went for it.
Yeah. At that point, you're saying before you go big or go home. It's like, all right, we're really going. We're going all in with this character.
Yeah, this is the WWF in its least subtle, I guess we can say.
Yeah, hey, remember this is the 80s, so this was a different world. You could get away with a lot of different things. How either good or bad or questionable taste they might be. You look back at it now and you're like how did anybody do this or think this was a good idea? Yeah. But at the time, people just didn't think that way. So it's like, look, we have our pimp here sitting around eating fried chicken. Women are yelling at him.
She's Jive,
right?
That word wasn't used a lot, by the masses. Then by a lot of white 10-year-old boys who are I like this Jive Soul Bro, Mom.
Yeah, it's like I don't know. Should you be listening to that? I don't know.
It's like all right, whatever that is. Yeah, sure.
But definitely a great song. Fits the character. Totally. I mean, I guess the only difference with that, which kind of was interesting at times, because like you said, Slick had his group of different wrestlers that he managed, and most of them would come out with him to, the theme song. Mm-hmm. And you had somebody like the Big Boss Man at the time when he was managing him, and you have him coming out to Jive Soul Bro with Slick. It's a little weird. It doesn't really fit that perfectly. When he has somebody like Akeem, the African Dream. Now that you can see because he's the white guy who thinks he's black and is dancing and thinking like he's a Jive Soul Bro. So in that case, it fits that character. Doesn't fit everybody with it. Fits Slick the man.
I think Akeem Akeem, that character is one of the worst characters ever, but in a very interesting way. Well, I mean, that's like some brutal shit.
Well, yeah, that's like, well, right. So we were just talking about questionable character choices and everything, and that's another one to add to the list, which in the end does kind of fit well with Slick. We put two of them together, and you're like, oh, okay. Now that this kind of makes sense now.
That's a good point.
Yeah. Doesn't make it any better for either one of them, but
more plausible. It's so much
it does make sense now. But like I said, somebody like the Big Boss Man coming down with Slick to Jive Soul Bro, you're like, no, this doesn't fit.
Not at all.
But I chalked that one up to another winner on the on the list. I think we're
without
saying that's a good one that fits in perfectly. Because then you go on to track number 6, which is Crank It Up by Jimmy Hart, which the song itself, I mean, it's okay. I don't know. I don't know how you feel about this one. I think this one isn't one of the better ones on there. I think it's another one that doesn't quite fit anything. I know they use it for the young stallions for a while, but that's another team that's one of those, blink and you miss them type teams. It's not like some big team like Demolition. The song itself is okay. I mean, it's Jimmy Hart, an actual musician.
Jimmy can sing.
Yeah, Jimmy can sing.
Yeah, he can sing. And, but yeah, no, ultimately I'm with you because to me this is filler. He can sing. This song either should have so even though it doesn't make sense connected to anybody, unless maybe it would have been not even the Hart Foundation because they didn't really even have the piss and vinegar back then. Bret Hart didn't really have that character with him inside him yet. It doesn't have any connection to a character. It definitely doesn't have anything to do with Jimmy Hart because Jimmy Hart was he was kind of a slime ball.
Right, yeah. He's the heel manager, and this is more of an upbeat. It's a babyface.
It's a
song,
babyface, yeah.
And he's singing it, but he's a heel manager, so you can't use it for anybody that he's managing.
Right.
So it's
That's
like,
right.
okay, well, what do you do with it? And you kind of think that maybe was this one of those songs that Jimmy Hart had in his head for a long time? It was like, okay, I want to do this song, and can we put it on the wrestling album? Because he's like, I'm a musician. I want to have a song on the album because this is the only song he has that's his own on here. So it's like you want to get him on there, get him a song, and even if it's for more of an upbeat babyface theme song, they still want to try to use it for somebody on TV so you can promote it.
So you might as well record it.
Yeah.
Well, to your point, Bob, you just explained it really well. So you said, "Oh, is this just a song that Jimmy's had in his mind all day?" I will tell you yes, because if you go back to Hulk Rules, the album Beach Patrol, the first line is, "We were cruising all night looking for some action. Had my radio set to a rap rock station." Exact same. Instead of rock and roll, he says rap rock.
Yeah.
So there you go. Jimmy had this, he was thinking long term.
He was thinking long term, and luckily for him, when Hulk Rules time came around, he could babyface it up all he wanted as Hulk Hogan's manager and get all these upbeat songs out there. So this was just testing the waters for it.
Okay, well let's think though. So it's 1987. We need a babyface to sing this. It can't be. I would almost want to say Macho Man, but Macho Man was obviously a heel, but he sort of would have the gravitas to sing it. Can you think of a babyface or someone who would have sang the song, if not Jimmy Hart?
Well, I only have one option that we brought up at the beginning, who is on the cover but not singing a song.
Oh, Mr.
I can't see him singing that song and it being any good. I mean, we heard the Hulk Rules album, so we know how Hulk does when it comes to singing. But something like this too, I don't think it certainly wouldn't be a good song, but it'd be the only spot to throw somebody like Hulk in to sing a song.
Okay, but Bob, then if that's the case though, let's say in our parallel universe that Hulk Hogan sings Crank It Up or vocalizes Crank It Up. Do you call the album then Crank It Up?
Oh, that's a good question. That's a tough one there when you want to put that as Crank It Up and promote that as your number one star singing on the album. So
it could be, man.
It could, that's a tough one, because you want to promote the Hulk Hogan singing debut.
Yeah, because he doesn't sing on the wrestling album. They have the Jim Steinman.
Yeah, that's
this is interesting, question. Bob. I feel like we just made a big breakthrough.
I know. Yeah, if you had Hulk Hogan sing "Crank It Up,"
and that was the album,
and then that's your album now is "Crank It Up," the wrestling album too, instead of PILEDRIVER. I mean, PILEDRIVER, the song would still be on there,
of course,
but it will not be prominent.
Yeah,
as the name. So I could see that. That would be. I would love to see Hulk Hogan sing "Crank It Up." I wonder if he's ever done. He has his bar down, or the beach bar, whatever it is down there in Florida. And I know they have he does a karaoke night there every week. And I know I've seen some clips, and he'll pop in there usually.
What does he sing?
I don't think I've seen him actually sing anything, but I know he'll come in there and he'll get like on the mic and like welcome everybody and say a couple things.
Does he bring his bass? Oh, please tell me he brings his bass.
If he gets out there, we got to get a request in there to see if we can get Hulk Hogan to sing "Crank It Up" during karaoke at his bar one of these nights. I think that's what the world needs. I don't think anybody ever thought we needed to see this, but we need to now. We've uncovered this gem of what we think could be a huge hit.
Yeah, well, yeah. Listen, if I'm in a bar with Hulk Hogan and there's a guitar near me or there's a piano, I'll perform all of the Hulk Rules album until he's begging for mercy, and then I'll be like, "All right, I just sang for you. Now you sing Crank It Up."
Yeah.
Come on, brother.
We got to take I think we got to take a trip down there and hit up his bar and wait for him to show up and sit on karaoke night and see if we can make this happen.
That's a documentary.
Yeah, this is coming soon. Coming soon. We're gonna do this.
Yeah, we'll document it. Like we wait like 2.5 years.
Just waiting for the right time. You got to get this ready. You got to start planting the seeds now, and we're gonna start putting the seeds out there on Twitter and on social media, saying, "Hey, did you ever want to hear Hulk Hogan sing Crank It Up?
Yeah.
Did you ever wonder what that would be like?" Just to get people thinking about it, because honestly, I never thought of it until we just brought this up now, and now that I keep thinking about it, there's nothing else I want to see in my life than Hulk Hogan sing Crank It Up. And Jimmy's usually there with him, so if Jimmy can be in there too, they could if they want to duet it,
sure,
go for it. I mean, I think it's perfect. I mean, they're best buddies.
Yeah.
So why not?
Jimmy would do it in a second.
Yeah, I think he would be like, "Come on, Hulk, baby, come on, let's sing a song."
It's a classic.
Crank it up, crank it up. The wrestling album too.
That's right.
In the alternate universe, where Hulk Hogan gets his feature album debut, 8 years earlier than the Hulk Rules.
So moving right along in an alternate universe, Bob, the next song doesn't exist.
I'd be happy with that. I think.
Do you want to explain to everybody what the next song is?
Oh, the next song on the track list, track number 7, is called "Waking Up Alone" by Hillbilly Jim and Gertrude, and it's a country song. Did anybody need this in their life? Probably not.
Probably not.
But it exists. Sadly, this one does not have a music video to go along with it. I mean, I could only imagine what it would be like with Hillbilly Jim. This very sad country song of him wandering around and kind of head hung low.
Yeah.
This was never one that was on my top list when it came to this album, and even when I had first stumbled across this album years ago, I think this was one I would always skip over until recently when I knew we were going to talk about it. I'm like, all right, let me actually sit here and listen to 3 minutes of this song. And I went through it once, and I'm like, all right, I'm good here. I'll listen to Jive Soul Bro like 50 times straight.
Right.
But one of Waking Up Alone with Hillbilly Jim and Gertrude was more than enough for me.
Yeah, so I think there's so many things wrong with it. I mean, the most immediate one would be Hillbilly Jim's song on the first album is "Don't Go Messing with a Country Boy."
Yeah, and that's a classic. That's a classic song.
It's a classic, and it's the perfect pairing for him.
Yeah.
It's as good as Honky Tonk. Man, it's Honky Tonk, right? So, what I can only think about this song is that maybe did Hillbilly Jim actually write this song?
I don't know,
because I think he might be. I wouldn't be surprised if he actually wrote songs.
If he actually wrote that song,
yeah, that would be.
And if he did, then kudos to him for writing a song and doing it. But still, it's just compared to the first song on the first album, "Don't Come Mess with the Country Boy." That's the classic theme song. Like another one, that theme songs that fit the wrestler.
Exactly.
That's perfect. Right there.
Yeah, to me, they're apples and assholes. I mean, I think
Yeah.
there's no like, okay, Hillbilly Jim, you hear this song "Waking Up Alone," like Jake the Snake Roberts could beat up this guy, without even like touching him, just playing mind games with this idiot. I mean, it's an idiotic song. And having Gertrude. Who's Gertrude? Like,
I don't know.
Yeah, it's not like.
I mean, I guess did they feel that they needed to have like it's not really a ballad, but it's just
that's a ballad.
You say, okay. I mean, I guess, kind of take it down a notch for a bit, just.
And he speaks in the second verse. He's just doing the spoken stuff.
Yeah, that's it. You're just talking, stuff like that, and it's not one of the better songs on the.
It's out of both albums, and also, I mean, you and we've heard a lot of wrestling themes. I have a bunch of wrestling albums, and I know a bunch of themes. I think this is the worst. Slam Jam. There's one about Slam Jam. It was pretty bad, but I think this is the worst song of all, worst wrestling song I've ever heard.
It's definitely up there. I can't argue with you on there. I mean, I'm sure if you went through every wrestling album that was out there, you could probably find some, but this is definitely one that it's not winning any awards.
It does. See, okay, so listen, like you go back a couple 20 years ago, where Kishi had put a little ass on it. Right. And which made perfect sense because it's a ballad. He's a soulful guy and he's talking about his big fat ass. Well, that makes absolute sense.
Right.
This is a sad country guy. Okay, anybody going to be threatened by the sad country guy?
No, and when you compare it to the Hillbilly Jimmy's this big, muscular guy.
Like, yeah,
he's not getting sad. He's not crying in the corner.
No.
He's gonna go. He's out there to kick somebody's ass.
He's gonna take his moonshine to clobber you over the head.
Exactly right.
Broomstick will shove it up your ass. He's like, don't mess with me. I'm a country boy. Of course.
He doesn't have time to sit there and sulk and cry and complain.
Man's gotta work.
This. I know. But
goddamn, I blame Gertrude, man.
Yeah, damn you, Gertrude. Really screwing up.
Yoko.
Yeah. Gertrude screwing it all up. Hillbilly Jim does it all on his own. The first album is great. Second time around, nothing.
Oh man, that's another documentary we have to have. The secret life of Hillbilly Jim and Gertrude.
Yeah, what caused all this pain, Hillbilly? You want to sit down here and talk about it? Do we need to get a therapist in here to go over this stuff for you?
I'm sure Hillbilly Jim would love the attention.
Yeah. Hey, I don't know what he's doing these days. I mean, he was big into the Coliseum video world back in the 90s, promoting all those VHS tapes, and after that, now I guess he's just hanging out, enjoying a retired life, I guess.
I hope he's doing great. I hope I never have to hear the song again, Bob.
Yeah, I'm with you on that. Yeah, that's one. When it comes up, you hit that fast forward button on your cassette tape and hope you get to the next one, which you got to stand back.
Oh yes,
and the Vince McMahon before the Mr. McMahon, which he gives you a little hint of it there with that one verse when he gets the Mr. McMahon voice in there, which I've always noticed since day one of hearing it. When he's like, everybody's going down, or whatever it was, whatever that one.
Yeah, the gravitas.
Yeah, the Mr. McMahon voice compared to the upbeat Vince McMahon singing, which is this is one of those songs that's not good, but it's funny when it comes to Vince McMahon singing.
Okay, so yeah, and of course it's impossible to. You can't think of the song without the Tom Jones spectacle with, Hulk playing bass. And I think we can talk about this song for a long time. I think if you had this song a little slower, I think Joe Cocker could have sang it really well.
I can see that. Yeah.
There's a lot of Tom Jones on it, and Vince McMahon is enjoying the fuck out of it. But as over the top as this song is, and as odd as the ensemble is, which is Hulk Hogan playing bass, no drummer, no guitarist.
Mm-hmm.
You got Macho Man, JYD, Brutus,
Yeah, and the
as your horn section.
yeah,
you got George Animal Steel playing tambourine. As over the top as that is, this song makes complete sense. That the guy who sings "Stand Back," stand back, along the way, you're going to see a lot of men drop. 10 years later is the Montreal Screwjob. Yeah, this dude is honest. You watch the fuck out.
yeah, and I know. I think that the rumor was, or innuendo at the time was, I guess, that Vince did it to pretty much tell all the other promoters to stand back, that he was the number one, and you're all gonna drop because he's taking over the business and running everybody out of town.
Right.
So I think that was what people had said, that the reasoning was behind the song with Vince, which makes sense.
It makes complete sense.
And it's him wanting to get out there and stroke his ego, while at the time just being this lowly announcer when nobody knew he was the owner, unless you were on like the inside. There wasn't promoted all the time saying, "Oh, Vince McMahon, owner of the WWF." It was just, "Oh, this guy's just an announcer and now he's singing." It's like, oh, okay.
Yeah. But then once you learn who Mr. McMahon, the character, was, this song to me makes a lot of sense.
Oh yeah, 100%. Yeah,
and it's still completely ridiculous.
Yeah. I mean, it's one of those things where it's like, well, how much drugs do you think he was doing? With the idea of like, okay, let's do this song here. Oh yeah, that's perfect. Let's run this one down the pipeline.
The dance sequence, I think many people would say this might be the highlight of the Slammy Awards, right? With him and the when he's lining up with all the girls, and they're all in line, they kind of moving around each other. Yeah, you got Hulk playing bass.
Yeah, they do the he gets his little bass solo, and they do the close up on him. It's like boom 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 boom.
Think it's the highlight of the Slammy Awards, which doesn't make it the highlight of the album. It's not so much a highlight song wise, but I think when it comes to the Slammies and seeing the actual performance of it, I think that's where it shines, is in the performance side of things, is where that song really takes shape. It does. Last thing I'll say about this is that when I saw the Magnetic Fields a couple of years ago, Stephen Merritt, the singer, was talking about how he had recently done an interview, and the interviewer had asked him, why aren't your lyrics more honest? And why don't you sing or speak honestly? And he said, "Ma'am, do you honestly think that Mick Jagger couldn't get any satisfaction?" And I thought that moment was amazing, right? Because it right. And I'll tell you what. So to me, this is Vince McMahon is actually honestly singing this song about standing back. In his mind, it's such a big fuck you, and that to me, it just shows you how much fun he's having singing this song. Like he loves that performance.
Oh yeah, he loved the spotlight, and like I said, especially during that time when he wasn't a character on TV, you could see at that time that he loves the spotlight. He loves being over the top with everything, which became the Mr. McMahon character 10 years later.
Yeah.
And once he embraced that, so it's funny when you go back and look at it.
Yeah, long-term storytelling, right?
Yeah, see, he knew what was going to happen at this point. Yeah, we're going to do this 10 years later. We're going to have the Montreal Screwjob, and that's going to change the business forever, right there. So it's just building up to it. That's it. That's it. That's when you're the booker, man. That's what you do. You plan for the future.
That's right, booker man. All right. Well, moving along.
Yeah, and now we get our first cover, our first and only cover of the album, which is with everybody's favorite, Mean Gene Okerlund and Rick Derringer with Rock and Roll Hoochie Coo, which is a cover of his actual Mean Gene singing, and Rick Derringer, who also recorded Rock and Roll Hoochie Coo back in the 70s, and Mean Gene taking over the lead on this one, which, I mean, I don't think Mean Gene's gonna be another one that's gonna win any awards for singing voice. But he does a good job. He does have a fun time with it.
He kills it. He really kills it. He really gets into it, and the video is obviously kind of cute and playful. To me, it's cheating that this is the best song on the album, because this is a real song. The song was a real hit. The playing of the riff on the song is exceptional. The song has a bridge and it has dynamics, and every section makes sense. To me, it would be like, imagine like during the Attitude Era, if they did an album and like Chris Jericho sang "Sweet Emotion."
Right.
It would be the best. It would be the best, because this is a guy who can sing, and this is a great song. Of course, it's going to rock. Right.
It's not a made up song just for this album. It's an actual hit song that's out there that Mean Gene is covering, putting his own twist on it, and having fun with it. And like you said, the video for it is a fun little thing, similar to the it's got the Teacher. I was going to say similar to Hot for Teacher.
Yeah,
not that the song is anything like that, but the video itself is with the teacher who lets loose and is dancing on the desk and good time, and Mean Gene's in there as Mr. Peabody, and showing the history of rock and roll, and the principal walks in at the end and does the Miss Peabody, what are you doing? And
what are you doing?
Yeah.
Well,
and then they look back over at Mean Gene, and he's back to his normal self, and gives like the little wink and smile to the camera as they fade out. So
here's my question for this song. I mean, it's charming, and the song rocks. It's a great riff. It's Derringer. The dude can play guitar, and he can write a song, and he produced this. He also produced Weird Al. The guy can make records. My knock on this is that who doesn't have a song on these albums? Bobby the Brain.
You're right, yeah.
And obviously Hulk doesn't either. He doesn't have a full song. But I don't know if Bobby can sing, but I kind of wish Bobby could have done this. I don't know.
It would be interesting. Yeah, I don't know. It's tough. Like you said it, and I'm trying to picture it. In one hand, it could be funny. Or one hand, it could just be a train wreck. If you can't, because when you kind of compare Mean Gene and Bobby Heenan, both are funny, and both could kind of carry it their own way. Yeah. But I don't know if Bobby could sing it like Mean Gene, because then you're also going with Mean Gene is he's the baby face announcer, then Bobby Heenan's the heel, and you might have to. It might not just. I don't know if it would work right. I guess that's the question with it.
Yeah, I'm not saying this is a foolproof plan, but as much as I love this song, it's a great song, and Gene can sing. I love Tutti Frutti on the first album. I feel cheated that Gene gets 2 and Bobby got none.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah.
That shows you how big of a fan I am of Bobby.
Yeah, it would have been. Yeah, I agree. I think he would deserve it to see just how it would have played out. Because you could do it, maybe not with this song, but with something else. If you can get a song like with Slick and Jive Soulbro, that's a manager having a song. And Bobby Heenan have his own song to sing.
What song? So what song could have Bobby Heenan do? Not Wild Thing.
Yeah, that's tough trying to think of what could.
You really got me, like one of those kinds of songs.
Yeah, like a hit song. That he could have done a cover of.
That would have been simple and
something basic that you could have done it and be like, okay, you know what, that's not bad.
Yeah, he always said, Blasty said Pencil Neck Geek. Bobby said Humanoid. That's interesting.
It's a tough. It's something. Another one we would have liked to see on. On the album, like we said, we wanted to have Hulk on there.
Hulk can crank it up.
No
Waking Up Alone.
You can erase Waking Up Alone from the album and throw in a Bobby Heenan song.
Move Girls and Cars down.
Yeah, exactly. You can move everything around a bit, get rid of that Waking Up Alone, throw a Bobby Heenan song in there, and then I think you would have really, really nailed it.
Yeah, it wouldn't be the White Album, but it might be.
Yeah, it'd be pretty damn close though. It would be
damn close.
It'd be legendary when it comes to wrestling albums and wrestling theme albums. It would have been on the top of the list.
See, I'm still, the wrestling album one. It's hard for me to think of anything better, but a sequenced PILEDRIVER, renamed PILEDRIVER with a couple of tweaks could be, beat for beat, pound for pound, pretty unbeatable.
It could have been. The sequel is really never better than the original.
Yeah.
But the wrestling album too could have done it with those few tweaks.
Yeah, I mean, Wayne's World 2 is nothing like Wayne's World, but I still saw Wayne's World 2 the day it came out.
Yeah,
so.
it's still a solid movie. You can't go wrong. Right. It's one of those. I mean, I love Terminator 2.
Yeah, that's true.
I mean, more than Terminator. I mean, I love both movies. I got to give Terminator 2 the nod over T1. So
okay, all right,
it happens. It happens. I mean,
but not with Waking Up Alone. T2 doesn't have Waking Up Alone, Bob.
No. It's got Guns N' Roses, but
it does.
No Waking Up Alone. Though. I know. Yeah.
Well, so the last. Okay. Oh wow, the last. Okay.
I know. 10 songs. 10 songs down. I mean, because this is one of those. This album would just flies right by. Quick and to the point.
How long is the album, man?
Let's see. What's the official runtime? I mean, I guess we can add up all the.
It can't be that much longer than 30 minutes, right? I mean,
we'll break out our handy dandy calculator here. The original wrestling album was 37 minutes.
Okay.
But this one, the Wikipedia does not have a time on it. I think somebody would have done this work for us, but hey.
No, you're doing the Lord's work, man.
I know. Okay, so if my math was correct, the total runtime on this is 29 minutes.
Jeez,
so
okay, yeah,
that's about there. So it's probably about 30 minutes. So it's pretty quick. I mean,
it's like an early Van Halen album. That thing just flies.
Yeah,
by.
I mean it's 10 songs, but you look. I mean the longest one is the Rock and Roll Hoochie Coo at 3 minutes and 40 seconds.
Wow.
But then the rest of them are around probably average 3 minutes. So it's not
which is crazy when you consider that some of those songs have like choruses that repeat like 4 times.
Right. The songs seem a lot longer than they actually are. You sit there, you listen to it, like I heard this like 3 times already, and it's been 2.5 minutes. So it's
I don't think that is any more evident than on the last song of the album.
Yeah, well, I mean, I guess it's the last song, If You Only Knew, by the WWF Superstars, which is essentially just I don't want to say conversation, but it's for the most part. I mean, we're just talking back and forth and then just repeating, if you only knew what I would do to you.
It's this song is so interesting. I swear. First of all, that riff is like, it's almost like Zeppelin.
It's good. It's a good riff.
It's a good riff, man. I gotta say, and the verse plays to Rest of Her Strengths, which is saying things, cutting these little miniature promos, not singing it, kind of like the Wrestle Rock Rumble, and that works a lot. The chorus is pretty. I think Jimmy Hart probably wrote it. If you only, but what happens is weird. The song is like, I'm a tough guy. I'm gonna kick your ass. Then, if you only knew what I'm gonna do to you, right? You'd be running home as quick as 2 legs could carry you.
Right. Yeah.
Your destiny belongs to me. If you
only knew. Yeah.
In the context of the music, it's so soulful and pretty that it almost sounds more like a girl talking about like how she's gonna fuck a guy as opposed to like a guy talking about how he's gonna fucking kick your ass. That's just what the take.
I can see that. I'm with you on that. I can definitely see that.
And and which are both great things. I support.
Right.
But it's incongruous, and I think at the end it goes on forever, and I think it's very evident when you're watching the Slammies, because this is the last song of the Slammies, and it's a good song to end with. Watch watch Dynamite Kid and Nikolai Volkov try to clap and dance.
Yeah, trying to keep in
Keep
line with everybody.
It's the funniest thing ever. Rest in peace to those two great men.
Yeah.
But you can't teach a fish to sing, and you can't teach the British.
Yeah, either you got the rhythm or you don't. I mean, some people are born with it. Some people just don't have it, and it happens. Yeah,
you can have those great matches against Tiger Mask, but you can't clap. Whatever.
Yeah, you can't clap and sway at the same time. It's tough.
I mean, what's your take on this one? Does this give you any feels?
It's a feel good song. I like it. I mean, I can see where, like you said, with the chorus, is repetitive, and after a while, kind of gets a little bit old. But it is just these little mini promos back and forth. So it's not really a song. I mean, it is and it isn't, because it's got music, but it's nothing where somebody's sitting there and singing. It's just kind of going back and forth and doing like little promos on top of music. It is really what it is. But I like it. I think it's enjoyable.
It's a great way to end, and obviously the ending of the slam
for the finale. It's a good finale to put a bow on everything. You have all the wrestlers that are all featured throughout the album get it in their piece. I mean, it's the only speaking part that the Hulkster has in the album.
Yeah,
is on this song, and you have the rest of the guys getting their little shots in there. So. It's fun. It's a fun little song. It's a good way to wrap up everything and say, hey, thanks for listening to the album.
Right.
This is the finale.
Yeah, it works in that context. You probably could have shaved off a minute.
Yeah. I mean, the song comes in at 3:18. So you could probably do like a 2.5, about like 2.5 maybe, could kind of.
So I'd have to
slim it down a bit.
Right. See, okay. Well, I'd have to listen again to the recorded version, because I know in the Slammy words, that's when like Mean Gene and Jesse are having their whole bid, and like isn't like Matilda the dog running around? And
right. Yeah.
Like somebody
antics. A lot of antics are happening.
A lot of antics.
Yeah. Well, I guess the winner, Jesse, of the Slammy for the best song of the year is going to be Forever Unknown in the stomach lining of Sika.
No, Mean Gene. If you want to find out the winner, I'm sure you can hang out with Sika, and tomorrow morning you can pick up the results.
Say good night, Jesse.
Good night, Jesse.
Good night, everybody. Yeah.
That works perfectly live. And on the end of the wrestling album, Nikolai Volkov is singing Karamia, and Gene and Vince and Jesse are arguing, and there's a lot of razzle dazzle on it. That really works great. I'd have to hear the album again to know, is there razzle dazzle on it, or is it just like kind of music fading out?
I think it's just the music fading out. Yeah, there's no little little quirks and no commentary or anything on this one, like with the wrestling album where you had the like after the tracks you had the little commentary between people,
which is
things
great,
like that.
Man. Which is like, people laugh about this, but I think of the wrestling album as it's a concept record, and whenever I think of concept records, I think of prog. I think like in a way the music is not prog, but thematically it is prog, like with a through line, and that's what I love about the wrestling album. And I think it's storytelling, right? Wrestling is storytelling.
Yeah.
It works really well, and I think some of the stories work really, really well. I think that could have worked really well too on Piledriver. If you had, if you had Slick do a little monologue before, who knows? It's an interesting thing.
Yeah, it's interesting to see how they could have done it differently.
Yeah.
Having that in there. I mean, sadly, there was no The Wrestling Album 3. This would be the last album until the WrestleMania the album in 1993, which is a totally different animal to dive into. We will not be talking about that one today. Maybe one other time. We'll see. We'll see how things go, because that's while this has some redeeming qualities on this one, the WrestleMania the album, not so much.
So here's my question. So if you had to rank the best songs, would you be able to rank the best songs, or would you just be able to rank the worst ones?
Let's see. I think if you're going for the best songs on the PILEDRIVER album here, I think you could go because there's a lot more good songs than bad songs.
Agreed.
Which is a good thing. I could tell you. There's only one song which we know for sure we can scrape off the album forever, and that's the "Waking Up Alone" with Hillbilly Jim. If we could get Hulk to sing "Crank It Up,"
then it's a keeper.
It's a keeper. The Jimmy Hart one, I can do without it. Not that it's a bad song, and not that Jimmy can't do it. It's just not something that I would really want to listen to.
Yeah, no, I'm with you. Those are two I'm throwing off the boat.
Yeah, and I think probably the next one to throw off, which is not, it's tough because I don't really dislike the song. It just never fit in perfectly, and that's the Girls in Cars.
Yeah,
I think is that it's like a song that I kind of like and I want to like, but just in the context of it with Strike Force, it just never seemed to fit for me with them. And I think that's what the problem is. It's like the song itself isn't bad at all. It's a nice 80s pop song.
Yeah.
But yeah, it just doesn't quite fit correctly.
Yeah, those would be my three too. I think the other songs I would keep, I might shave them down a little bit for length, but I would keep them all.
Yeah, PILEDRIVER, Honky Tonk Man, Demolition, Jive Soul Bro,
Rock and Roll Hoochie Coo,
Hoochie Coo, and even Stand Back with Vince.
Stand Back.
It's not bad. It's Vince isn't going to win any awards for his singing abilities, but in the context of it's a fun little song.
I think. Could you imagine the Slammy Awards without Vince McMahon performing?
No.
Yeah,
I think the performance and the everything with that performance makes the song. Because on the PILEDRIVER VHS tape, it has a Stand Back video on it, but it's really a tribute video to Andre the Giant that's on there. It's not. It's nothing to do with Vince. They do something saying like, here's Vince McMahon performing Stand Back. But it's not a tribute to Andre, but it's all it's like an Andre hype video with him beating up people and things like that. Yeah, you got to check it out. If it's out there, it's probably out there on YouTube somewhere. But yeah, it's more on the PILEDRIVER VHS. It's like a Andre hype video with Vince singing Stand Back, which is really odd.
That's very odd
in that context. But when you see Vince perform it, you see it and you're like, knowing what we know now about Vince and what became of the Mr. McMahon character, and even recently over what surfaced about his demise, it all makes sense in the end.
Yeah. Agreed. I think if we got rid of those three songs, or you got Hulk to sing "Crank It Up," you got rid of "Waking Up Alone." Maybe you had give Bobby the Brain something, and I don't know.
Or even throwing in something with Bobby, not even a song, but you could do a little something in between, like I said, more of the little talking thing, a little talking segment or something in between with him complaining about something. Because you had that a lot too on these albums, where it was just track number 8 is just Bobby complaining about something, or a little comedy type bit.
Or you just had Gorilla Monsoon. You had Gorilla and Bobby the Brain.
There you go. Yeah, just kind of bickering back and forth about something, and Gorilla yelling at Bobby, and Bobby's saying he could sing better than all these people on the album.
Yeah, exactly.
And you can't do that, Brain. Get out of here. And
will you stop?
One of those things, and something like that could have been nice in the middle to kind of break it up. So
that's a good point.
So even if he's not singing, just to get Bobby on there, just with a little segment, and if you throw in Gorilla with them, be even better.
Bobby and Gorilla, man. Oof, that's peanut butter and jelly to me.
Yeah.
Such good shit.
But there you have it. There. That's our preferred wrestling album too. If we were to break it down and create our own album, and Hulkster, if you're out there listening, let's get to crank it up. Do it now. If people want to hear it, well, at least two people want to hear it.
You know, Jimmy Hart wants to hear it.
Oh, I'm sure.
It's guaranteed. I'm
surprised. I guess maybe because they couldn't do it because they couldn't do it on the Hulk Rules album because of it being locked up in the WWF vault here. with that, maybe that was why. Maybe there's a lot of legal red tape. But
just steal the one line and we'll put it in Beach Patrol so nobody will.
Yeah,
know.
I think if they could have covered it for Hulk Rules, they would have definitely done it for that one.
I think that's
because if he had it on that album, that album would have gone to the top of the Billboard charts.
Can you imagine? I mean, if there was one way that the Hulk Rules album could have been made better, it's crank it up.
Crank it up. That's Well, hey, Jesse.
Hey, man.
Always great chatting with you. Love having you on here to break this down. You want to tell everybody where they can find you, what you have going on, all that good stuff?
Sure. I have a new podcast. It's called Fuck This Gig. You can check it out on Apple Podcasts. You can check it out on Spotify, Google, any kind of streaming platform you want. I'm writing a book called Your Father, the Failed Rock Star. I'll be probably self-publishing that. We'll see what happens. And I live in West Orange, New Jersey. So anytime you want to come over and hang out, here I am.
There you go. Crank up the wrestling album.
Crank up the wrestling album. Yeah,
little Hulk Rules, little Beach Boys. We hit the trifecta here on the podcast.
These are three out. I mean, oh god. So if I had to pick one, I guess I would go Hulk Rules. I mean, I think I'll take Piledriver over the Beach Boys albums, though. I don't know about you.
Yeah, I think I'm with you on that one. I think I could listen to this a lot more than
Beach Boys is still just interesting from a sociological standpoint.
Definitely, yes.
Or the musical standpoint.
Yes. Yeah, I mean, we covered, two Beach Boys albums last time. We covered the wrestling album 2 here today. We covered the Hulk Rules. So we've done 4 albums now that we've covered. And if you haven't heard them, listen to them in the archives, bumwinebob.com. We have you covered there with all the good stuff, and we'll definitely be doing it again here with Jesse as we're celebrating 35 years of Piledriver, the wrestling album. It had its release in September of 1987, the 35th anniversary of the Slammy Awards from December of 87. So we timed it perfectly to put a bow on everything for the holidays. And if you can't find that one thing for that special someone this holiday season, maybe you can find a copy of Piledriver out there somewhere.
It's the gift that keeps on giving. I tell you that, Bob.
Yeah, you get cassette, CD, record, no matter what. Get in the VHS tape. You got it all covered.
Right. Give a 10-year-old kid a VHS tape and see what they think.
Like, what the hell is this? Like, what am I
going
to do with
this? Like, do I eat this?
Yeah, why is this thing so heavy? Well, hey, Jesse, man, thanks again. Always great chatting with you. And we will definitely be doing it again soon in the future. We'll be covering something else for the people to enjoy. So be sure to check out Jesse, give him a follow, check out all his many endeavors that he's working on, and don't forget to check out the website at bumwinebob.com. Tell your friends to check out the podcast Bone with Bobcat, and until next time, cheers.
Cheers.